The HBCU Sports Podcast coming to you in 3, 2. Yeah. We are back again. And what can I say, man? It's been a very surprising last 24 hours. This is the HBCU Sports Podcast. I'm Ken Rashad. He's Jeff Duplessis. This is episode 4, and we're going to call this the post-election edition. Jeff Duplessis.
Yeah, Ken. I would call it the post-mortem.
Is it that bad?
For some people it is. Yeah.
Well, look, man. I'm going to put something out there, and you tell me how this sounds. President-elect Donald Trump. Has a nice ring to it, too.
Yeah. Those are a few words that I thought I would never, ever hear. But you know what? He won, and we're going to see what happens. We're going to give him his chance to lead this nation and see where it goes. But I thought I would never hear those words, you know.
Well, look.
You're fired, Donald.
Yeah. Tell me about it. Now, I don't think Hillary expected that to be the case either. But
I could imagine Hillary last night. I'm sure she went to bed, took a couple of Valiums, and was out like a light because she just couldn't deal with it.
She said, "You know what? I don't feel like talking to y'all tonight. We're gonna do this tomorrow, okay?" So, all right.
She didn't want no part of that last night. She was supposed to be coronated. That was her crown she was supposed to get last night, and for the second time she lost out.
This is the HBCU Sports Podcast. Like I said, this is Ken Rashad. He's Jeff Duplessis. And before we get started, let's go ahead and get a couple of things all out there. We'll kind of get some house cleaning done. We want to thank you for taking a moment to waste a few minutes to listen to us ramble, if you will. Hopefully you'll find this podcast of interest. We hope you find it entertaining. And if you do, take it a step further. Follow us on Spreaker. That's at Spreaker.com, Spreaker.com. Do a search for HBCU Sports, and you will come across our page on the official HBCU Sports Spreaker page. Follow us. Also, if you're on the social networks, you can go to Twitter and follow HBCU Sports at Real HBCU Sports. You can also follow me on Twitter at Ken Rashad. And Jeff, you're on the Twitters too, right?
I am. I'm at JMO700, and please follow me because I need some followers. I don't have many, and I'm lonely. So
JMO700. Why you got to be so complicated? What?
I don't know, man. It was just that was when the early days of Twitter.
Right.
I didn't know what to use. So
anyway,
that was my alias at one time was JMO.
Speaking of Donald Trump. Let us.
That was a great transition.
Yeah, let us segue to one Sam Beavers, who is the freshman kicker at UAPB, who made news this week. He felt the need to express his displeasure with two officials who officiate in the CIAA, who decided to take a knee during the national anthem before the start of the Virginia State game, I believe it was. And apparently Sam Beavers took issue with the fact that they decided to take a knee. And he indicated on Twitter that he and I'm trying to find his quote here. He says, "I'm a bit tired of this. If you don't like it, leave." Yeah. He called the move utterly classless. Now, I mean, you.
now, mind you, he's a white kicker.
Yeah.
At an HBCU now.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Mm-hmm. But you know what?
But you know what? He has his rights. That's his First Amendment rights to express his opinions and how he feels about things.
Right. But you know what? He took it a step further. He went on to make some comments about Planned Parenthood.
Mm-hmm.
And just. And by the way, and the reason why I segue from Donald Trump to Sam Beavers, because if you go to his Twitter profile page, you'll notice that he is a Donald Trump supporter.
He's a trumpeter.
He's a trumpeter.
So I also suspect that once this gets out, if it hits the mainstream social media a little bit, he'll also be a hero of the alt-right. I think they're gonna love him.
Well, this is where we are now, and of course the reason why this is so interesting in that, like we said, Sam Beavers is white, who attends a historically black college at UAPB, and the issue of First Amendment, or should I say freedom of speech, comes into play here. And I asked head coach Bonnie Coleman on Monday's SWAC teleconference about Beavers' comments, and he, according to Coach Coleman, indicated that obviously Sam didn't speak, or Beavers didn't speak on behalf of UAPB, but he took it a step further and said that he was going to be reprimanded. So,
what does that mean? Right?
Well, see, that's the thing. We don't know exactly what that means. I mean, he's going to be reprimanded to what degree? Is it just verbal? I mean, and I guess when you look at it, what can Monty Coleman do to him? I mean, what can he really? I mean, obviously, those officials who took that knee was obviously they were expressing their freedom of speech, freedom of expression, right? And Sam Beavers apparently exercised his First Amendment right to freedom of speech. Now, and I listened, or should I say, I watched some of the comments about this issue on social media, and then of course that was the people. Well, what about his freedom of speech? And also, is he not right? Does he not have the right to speak his mind? And well, obviously he does.
There are some limitations because he is part of a institution. He is part of a team. Monty Coleman is the CEO of that team,
right,
so to speak. So he has some leeway to determine what his employees, for lack of a better word, can and cannot do.
Right, but see, and the thing, like you said, nobody, if you notice, no one has stopped him from saying what he wanted to say. But here's the point that I think people miss. Just because you have the right to say it doesn't mean that others don't have the right to criticize you for it.
Right.
And it doesn't necessarily mean that actions can't be taken against you legally. So I guess my point is that in some cases, depending on the situation, you may very well have your say, but if you're an employee for a company and it goes against company policy, then guess what? You can be fired.
Right.
And so,
I have another analogy, not to keep more political stuff, but my analogy simply is when you have these businesses who don't want to service gay people, LGBT community, that's their right. They can do that.
Right.
But they also will have to face the ramifications that go with those actions.
Right.
So,
right. And people may decide to boycott that facility.
I'm going to talk bad about you on social media.
And then basically that has a financial impact, obviously.
Right.
Right. So yeah. So that was the hot topic with respect to UAPB. And when I look at this issue, I immediately go back to the situation with the Prairie View soccer player who took a selfie in blackface, in an attempt to make somewhat of a joke that apparently, I can't speak for her, but I'm of the belief that she really didn't think she was doing anything wrong. Do you equate?
As I said at that time, I think it was more youthful indiscretion. Now she needs to learn from that, and hopefully she did learn from that.
Okay,
but I'm not going to
Okay, so now, is there any connection to what that young lady did versus what Beavers is?
Yeah, I think so. I think I don't know how old Beavers is, but he's probably 19 or 20 years old, 21 years old, and I don't even think he's that old. I think he's about 18 or 19. He's a freshman.
So,
the male brain really doesn't finish developing until about 25, 26 years old. So he's still a young developing brain. They don't make all the right decisions. If you discipline me for things I did when I was 19 years old, I probably wouldn't be here today. So.
Okay, so the question is this: does he deserve to be kicked off the team?
No, he learned a lesson though.
You think so?
He needs to be reprimanded. Whatever coach wants
you sure?
to do.
Because now, look, I went to his profile. I went to his Twitter account, and he makes it pretty specific that his comments are his and do not necessarily reflect the views of his school. So he is aware that I think he is aware that what he says on Twitter may be considered somewhat controversial.
Right.
To the point to where he has made the conscientious decision to inform folks that these are my comments, and I understand that this may not necessarily jive with the school that I attend because I am on scholarship, and I actually saw Prairie View's signee list from last year where he is listed as an individual who is actually signed on, scholarship recipient, if you will, if he's on scholarship. So he has made the conscientious decision to make these comments, despite the fact that he is a student on the football team of an HBCU. So
right.
Take that for what it's worth. So
yeah,
you're saying that obviously whatever this reprimand is going to be, or even if it's just verbal or him having to run.
I hope whatever Coach Coleman tells him, the young man learns something from it. And that just because you may have these thoughts, you have to know when to share those thoughts. And that's anything in life. You can't say anything you want, anywhere you want, anytime you want. There's certain protocol for those things. And
right.
But I don't want to see him lose a scholarship. I really would not like to see that. I wouldn't want to see that. So
right. Well, I mean that's enough on that.
If he continues it, if he does it again.
Well, see that'll be.
Then maybe you have to take some other action.
Well, I guess the other factor into all of this is that we've heard from Beavers, we've heard from Monty Coleman. Then you have to ask yourself, okay, well, what do his teammates think about this?
Right.
Are they going to take any sort of action as a result of what Beaver said, or what? I mean, that's the other issue. Because here's the thing: when I talked to Coleman, I asked Coleman. I said, "Do you consider this a distraction?" And he said, "Absolutely. This is a distraction, and it's a distraction that he doesn't need, despite the losing season that the team is currently. They've only won one game this year, and so he considered it a distraction." And
Beavers is the punter and the holder and the snapper. They hang on the side of the bench, way on the other side of the sideline. So he doesn't have many friends.
Yeah, well, you never know. So anyway, but enough of that. I just thought that was an interesting topic, and we had to address it. But let's take a trip to the SIAC and one Tuskegee University. Now, what can we say about this? Now, this is extraordinary in terms of how this all developed over the last few days. You've got Tuskegee, who is a highly ranked team in Division II. I think they're what are they ranked 14th in the nation in Division II.
D2,
right. They've been killing it all year long, and unfortunately, Tuskegee loses to Kentucky State earlier in the year. And as a result of that loss, Kentucky State is going to represent the conference, the SIAC West, in the SIAC championship game against Fort Valley State, who defeated Albany State last Saturday in the Fountain City Classic. Now, here's the situation with Tuskegee, according to the NCAA, if a team is going to be eligible to compete in the Division II playoffs, that team must have played 10 opponents during the course of the regular season. And because Stillman, a former member of the SIAC, canceled football, it put Tuskegee in a situation where they had to find another opponent to meet that 10-game requirement. And right. Tuskegee, because they've literally been kicking butt and taking names all year long, pretty much was banking on beating Kentucky State and winning out the SIAC, which would put them in the SIAC Championship game, which would thus give them the 10th game necessary to become eligible for the playoffs, which didn't happen. So because of the loss to Kentucky State, Tuskegee decides to call upon Albany State and Fort Valley State and made the arrangement, according to Tuskegee, that the loser of that game between Fort Valley and Albany State apparently agreed that they would play against Tuskegee to help them meet that 10-game requirement.
Was it a verbal agreement? Was it
you know what? I don't know. I don't know if it was verbal. I can only assume it was. But, you know, these are conference members, and Tuskegee went out of their way to say, you know, hey, we're all in the same conference. You know, right. You would think that we would try to help each other out in a situation like Tuskegee was facing. And so, basically, and whether it was verbal or not, I think it's safe to say, based upon the actions that Albany State took, who lost, like I said, lost to Fort Valley State. After losing to Tuskegee the next day, that Sunday, they made the announcement that they were going to pull out of that game that following Saturday against Tuskegee.
So like a beautiful bride, she left the groom at the altar.
Well, that's exactly what happened. So that put Tuskegee in at the 11th hour, trying to find another
dance partner.
Right. And who do they call? One Reggie Barlow, the head coach at Virginia State, former coach at Alabama State. And he says, you know what? You guys are my homies.
That's right. That's right.
We are going to play you guys Saturday.
Well, Tuskegee is only a crow's fly from Montgomery.
Right. Yeah, right. And so Virginia State of the CIAA comes through for Tuskegee to play this Saturday in Tuskegee, by the way, and will give Tuskegee their 10th game, and basically gives you almost a reincarnation of the old Pioneer Bowl that used to be played some time ago between the champion of the CIAA and the champion of the SIAC.
Right.
So, I mean, I remember having to kind of bring you up to speed on all of this because people couldn't understand why is it that they need that 10th game. What happened? Well, again, it was because of Stillman not, playing football this year. What are your thoughts about all of this?
Well, first of all, the way the schedule is set up is really screwed up with the divisional games. Is that right? I'm talking about the SIAC, right?
Yeah.
With the division games.
That is correct.
That's how they determine.
It's all right.
The rest of the conference games really don't amount to anything.
Right. Right. Exactly.
That's antiquated.
Yeah.
At best.
Yeah. Let me kind of bring folks to speed. Yeah. So you got the SIAC, who has a policy in place that, granted, you've got conference games and you got divisional games, and you would think that the conference games would count just as much as the divisional games would, but in the SIAC's case, that's not the case at all. If you want to compete in the SIAC championship game, it's all about who has the best divisional record at the end of the season. So you got a Tuskegee team who is 6-1 in conference, 3-1 in the SIAC West, 8-1 overall. But because of that one loss to Kentucky State, who is also 3-1 in division, they're 4-3 in conference, and they're 4-6 overall. They are going to the championship game with a losing record of 4-6. That makes crazy. That makes no sense to me. But yet, that is the way the SIAC operates, and that is the reason why Tuskegee was somewhat left on the outside looking in, because of that one loss to Kentucky State, who was 4-3 overall. And if it wasn't for that divisional caveat, Tuskegee would have had no problem being the SIAC West representative in the SIAC championship game. So and I'm just gonna have to say it like this. Now, that's an ass backwards approach to coming up with the champion. And I need to talk with my man there.
Can we say ass on here?
Yeah, we just did ass backwards. Okay. I didn't say ass. I said ass backwards. Okay, it's not a bad word. Anyway,
I want the FCC to come down on it.
Ass backwards. Yeah, SEC. Right. Okay, on the internet. All right. Yeah.
FCC.
Oh yeah. Serious Security Exchange, yeah, the FTC, right? So that's the way the SIAC operates, and it's because of that policy alone that kind of has put Tuskegee in this unique position to have to take the steps that it's taken right now to do what it needs to do in order to just to become eligible for the SIAC championship game. And when you look at a Virginia State team coming out of the CIAA, now, and here's the one thing that I need to find out is, will this game assist the Virginia State in any way in possibly getting a at-large bid?
You would think so. I mean, if they beat the number 14 team in the country, it's got to help their resume, wouldn't you think?
You would think so, because in Virginia State's case, like I said, they're 8-2. They finished second in the Northern Division of the CIAA conference. It was Bowie State that came in. So actually, it's going to be Bowie State and Winston-Salem State playing in the CIAA championship game. Bowie State with a 7-3 record overall, by the way, but they're 6-1 in conference. They're going to be the Northern Division representative. Winston-Salem State is 5-0. Yeah, right. 5-0 in division, 7-0 in conference, 8-2 overall. Yeah. That's going to be a pretty good matchup. And Winston-Salem State has kind of been somewhat of a tradition, a juggernaut, going back to the days of Connell Maynard before he took the position over at Howard. And they are continue to roll along in that division. But kudos to Virginia State for coming to the rescue, and that Tuskegee was able to rely upon someone from the CIAA to do something that they couldn't even get members within their own conference to do. And so it's unfortunate that that Tuskegee had to take those steps just to make that 10-game requirement.
Yeah. Well, they got somebody to play them, and that's the most important thing. They didn't let the Albany State diss affect them,
right?
And hopefully that'll help them, get into the playoffs.
Take a look at the SWAC. We had a pretty interesting game last Saturday. In that the game of the week was Southern and Prairie View, and needless to say that there was a lot right. No, I'm sorry. What did I say? Not Southern and Prairie View. It was
no. It's Prairie View and Alcorn.
Prairie View and Alcorn. I'm sorry.
Yeah, which is a very good game.
Right. I'm sorry.
Real battle for the most part.
Prairie View and Southern and Prairie View are playing this Saturday.
This week.
That's right.
Saturday.
Okay. I'm thinking
that's a big game too.
Right. Prairie View and Alcorn. That game was interesting for a number of reasons. In that, I mean, where do you start? I mean, it was one of, Prairie View right now, with the SWAC West being as deep as it is, with Grambling and Southern still in tied for first with no losses, and with Prairie View with that one loss, could not afford to suffer another SWAC or another conference loss against an Alcorn team that is in the Eastern Division, that despite losing to Prairie View and given all that took place in the conference last Saturday, is still in the running. It's still in the running for winning the SWAC East division.
They just can't get out of their way. They out of each other's way.
What's that?
Jackson State loses, and yet they hang around. Alcorn loses, they hang around. Even Alabama State is still.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. But mathematically speaking, Alabama State and Alabama A&M, as I understand it, are both in the mix. I mean, that is. I mean,
you know what's funny? The top 3 teams in the West would be 1, 2, and 3 in the East.
Yeah, 1, 2, and 3 in the East.
Wait a minute, and even
Texas Southern, who is in 4th place in the Western Division, will be tied for first in the Eastern Division with Alcorn and Jackson State, who are both at 3 and 4. Now, here's some interesting. Here's just a couple of things that I noticed with the loss. You know, Alcorn State lost to Prairie View. Jackson State, who did they lose to? They lost to Alabama State.
Yeah. Correct.
Okay, they lost to Alabama State. Alabama A&M lost to Grambling.
Right.
And like I said, Alcorn State, Jackson State still tied for first place. They both control their own destinies because they still have the matchup at the end of the season. The Soul Bowl. I don't know if they still call it the Soul Bowl. Is it the Soul Bowl, Capital City Classic, or was it just...
I think it's the Capital City Classic.
It used to be called the Capital City Classic, but I know back before that it was called a Soul Bowl.
Capital City Classic, also known as the Soul Bowl.
The Soul Bowl. I got you. Okay, so but here are some absolutes regarding the SWAC East. No matter what happens between Alcorn, Jackson State, Alabama A&M, Alabama State, no matter what happens, the SWAC the SWAC East representative, whoever plays in a SWAC championship game, will finish I'm trying to put the right way. Yeah, the SWAC East representative will not have a winning record entering into the SWAC championship game. The best that Alcorn State could do overall would be to finish 5-5. Unfortunately, they had that cancellation between Bethune-Cookman early in the season in the MEAC SWAC Challenge.
Right. There was, yeah.
Jackson State currently is 3-6 overall. So if they went out, the best that they can finish is 5-6. The same thing applies with Alabama A&M at 5-6, and of course, by the way, they still have a game against Auburn. You know, so that is the East representative will not have a winning record coming into the SWAC championship game on December 3rd in Houston, and could still potentially play lights out on a Saturday and leave home and leave Houston with a SWAC championship title if they went out. How crazy is that?
Anything's possible, but that is highly unlikely. I'm not saying it can't happen.
This is the SWAC, man. This is the SWAC.
I know, but that would. Oh, don't even go there, Ken. Don't go there.
Look,
I can't even envision that. I can't.
Well,
that would be so depressing.
Well, and so let's take it a step further. Then you have the unfortunate situation with Southern University, who is 6-0 in conference, 6-2 overall. The best that Southern can do, and we talked about this briefly, is they can play in the SWAC championship game, but if they win the SWAC championship game, they cannot play in the Celebration Bowl because they are on APR. They are NCAA banned due to unfortunately the APR scores. Yeah. So, in the event Southern makes it to the championship game, and they play either Alcorn or Jackson State, which I think is safe to say are the likely two opponents, those teams are automatically going to advance to the Celebration Bowl. So we could have our 5th or 6th best team representing the SWAC in the Celebration Bowl with a losing record. Or should I say I guess if they win, it could possibly be 6-6 or something like that. I don't know. 6-6, 6-5. But you're looking at either a 500 or a team that is one game above 500 going into the Celebration Bowl, assuming that everything falls in place and everything goes the way they expect it to go. Like you said, it's not likely, but anything is possible. Anything is possible.
You just depressed me, man.
No, look, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, it is what it is. What more do you want me to say?
It is what it is.
All right.
Let's hope that doesn't happen.
All right. MEAC action. You got thoughts about the North Carolina A&T's win over South Carolina State?
It was a good game. South Carolina State has traditionally played A&T very tough. Matter of fact, they won 2 out the last 3 games, I believe. So they have had their success against A&T, and definitely had success against Tariq Cohen. They shut him down again completely.
Yeah,
he had 47 yards, but 15 of it came on one play, one touchdown run.
Right.
So they got their number a little bit, but A&T, being a good team, being a seasoned veteran team, they managed to pull out a 10-point victory, and they keep rolling along, and North Carolina Central keeps rolling along, and it's looking more and more like that's going to be the game of the year in the MEAC, and for all the marbles, and we'll see. 2 good teams, 2 good coaches, 2 good programs.
Yeah. What about Bethune-Cookman? Despite their slow start, I mean, Bethune-Cookman, what? Winners of 3 in a row?
Winners of 3 in a row. So whatever Coach Simmons is doing, he's got those boys playing well. He mentioned in the press briefing that his team is finally healthy. Mm-hmm. The defense is coming around, and they're just playing good defense. They're playing the smart defense. They're stopping the run, the pass, and so they're moving. Bethune-Cookman has had some good success over the years. They've been a good, solid program. They got off to a bad start, but it looks like they're turning things around. Probably not enough to save their season, but still, maybe they can be one of these spoilers down the line.
So let's go back to North Carolina A&T and North Carolina Central. They are, as of now, likely on a collision course. Last game of the year. Is there any way possible? Do you see Central upsetting A&T again this year?
Well, on paper, I say no, but then again, I look at the numbers, and I'm just looking at the numbers of the team, of how they match up number wise. Central has a more impressive statistical profile, so to speak. Mm-hmm.
How so?
Well, just they've given up less points. I want to say they score more points. I had them earlier. I looked at them earlier. I don't have them in front of me now, but there's certain things that and he said this isn't necessarily game changing stuff, but points against stuff like that. We'll see. It looks like it's going to be a good game, and those 2 good programs, and I think the MEAC will be proud to have those 2. The last man standing, so to speak. Yeah, right.
Well, as it relates to when you compare, I guess those are you look at the top teams in HBCUs in Black college football at the Division I level. Mm-hmm. You got a team in A&T according to the SBN poll. A&T is still ranked number 1.
A&T, Grambling, North Carolina Central is 3, Tennessee State is 4, and Southern is 5.
Tennessee State. That's an interesting. That's a school we don't get a chance to talk about that often. And I'm gonna put you on the spot because you said something to me before we started recording this podcast. You want to go on record?
There's a lot of good people up in Nashville. The Blue Tigers of Tennessee State.
They're the Blue Tigers. I gave
for me to really get behind Tennessee State when they play the Ohio Valley.
Oh man, I'm giving you the
bottom line.
It's not. Jeff, you disappoint me.
Now, but it's just when you're playing Austin P and East Tennessee State and whatever those schools are up in that area, it's just hard for me to really.
They played Vanderbilt this year.
I don't know what they are, or who they are.
Can I tell them what you said?
Yeah, you can say it. But I'm not gonna fess up to it because I don't know what you're talking about. I have no idea.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah. Well, the reason why I said that because you said that they weren't a real HBCU.
Well, no, they are a real HBCU.
Oh, you are such a scaredy cat. I put you on the spot. I know.
What'd you say? Virginia State, Bluefield State.
What? Bluefield State, West Virginia State.
Yeah. So they ain't no real HBCUs either. Although historically
those are they have the HBCU designation.
I know, and they ain't gonna give it up either.
No,
because that's beneficial to them.
Absolutely, there's money involved in that. Money in them Nate Hills. So anyway, but rounding out the rest of the poll. So Tennessee State is at 4. Southern University is at 5, and by the way, kudos to Fred Batiste and the feature that he wrote on Leonard Tillery. Interesting story on HBCUsports.com written by Fred Batiste. If you get a chance, go and read it. It kind of gives you some background on Leonard Tillery that, to be quite honest with you, I didn't know about. And it's entitled Southern's Leonard Tillery Keeps Moving Forward. Very inspiring. And it doesn't necessarily talk about what he's been able to do on the field as the SWAC's all-time leading rusher, but it also talks about the things that he's done off of the field and being somewhat of a student activist as well on campus over there down there in Baton Rouge. At number 6 is Tuskegee, and we've already talked about them. And hopefully they'll be able to keep the engine rolling. And you know what? And speaking of which, if you would, can you back to their matchup with Virginia State? Do you see them? Do you see them winning that game? Well,
it's at Tuskegee, so I think this should be a dominated the competition they played this year, all except for that one game.
Yeah.
I would think they would be favored if there was ever kind of line on that game, which there probably isn't. But yeah, they should win.
Yeah,
it should be a good game.
I give Tuskegee the edge on that game as well. So we'll see how that goes. But at number 7 is Prairie View A&M. Willie Simmons, continue to rack up the wins. He talked about during the coaches teleconference about how the team is likely trying to play for a spot in the playoffs. I still think that that's a tricky situation for Prairie View, and that if they are fortunate enough to beat Southern, and I don't know if they realize this or not, but that's going to put them in a situation to where they're going to have to end up playing a wait and see role, and they may have to decide pretty much on the spot that even if they do beat Southern, and there's always that chance of them possibly competing in the SWAC championship game, that they may have to just say, if they can, you know what, we're gonna give up our right to play in the SWAC championship game, and we want to pursue the playoff route, because the Bayou Classic is going to be on that same day as the first round of the FCS playoffs, and Prairie View doesn't necessarily want to risk having to play a wait and see role to see if they're going to be able to get into the SWAC championship game and afford missing an opportunity to play the first round in the playoffs, if that's even possible. I don't even know. At number 8 is Winston-Salem State. Number 9 is Bowie State, and then of course rounding up number 10 on the SBS poll is Virginia State. So
can I say something about the SBN poll? I know it's been around for forever, for years, but how do you justify giving the Aggies of A&T 30 first place votes and not giving Grambling 0? Zilch.
It's easy. All of their voters, the voters are probably likely on the East Coast.
No.
There aren't that many voters. I don't have a vote. I have a vote on the HSRN poll.
And looking at and another thing, it's just my pet peeve. There's two. Well, it's two. Well, obviously they are, because there's 2 from the MEAC. There's 3 from the SWAC. You got 1 from the Ohio Valley, and you got 4 from Division II.
Well, again, the SBS, the SBN poll is all inclusive, baby. It's all inclusive.
I know.
And look, and I get it. Trying to compare Division I and Division II schools, but again, this is kind of like the oldest running poll out there. And I guess this was, the SBN, the Sheridan Broadcasting poll goes back to a time to where there really wasn't a huge difference between Division I and Division II schools, if even such a thing existed back in the day.
Right. I understand that. I've been
but I get it. No,
consumer of the SBN for years and years and years. So.
It's a fair point. And I guess one would think that they would have at least made the adjustment to maybe come up with a Division II and Division I and Division II poll, but they haven't done that yet.
You said the Division II, but there are some Division II teams that could play on the Division I level. I think on a regular basis. I think Tuskegee is probably one.
They probably could, and I'll tell you now, another school that doesn't probably get the type of respect that it probably should would be Langston, who competes in the NAIA.
Yeah.
But Langston has had some fairly formidable teams back. I'm not sure how they're doing right now this year, but that's another program that's been fairly competitive. Excuse me. That doesn't necessarily a team that doesn't necessarily get all the attention that it should probably get. From the HBCU football polls out there, but they are definitely considered when polling for the HSRN poll. Like I said, which I am a proud voter of. So we'll probably need to start referencing the HSRN poll going forward.
And speaking of Tuskegee, they will be in my new Super HBCU conference, by the way, when that's all. All done.
Yeah. Okay.
Hey, I just had to throw a little word out there. Hey, but no, seriously, shout out to Coach Collins in Mississippi Valley for getting the big win.
Mm-hmm. He was happy too.
Oh, he was happy.
Oh yes, man,
he was giddy.
He was happy. But anyway, man, that is going to wrap it up for us. Dang, they went by fast again, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it did. But look,
one more quick shout out, Ken.
What's that?
Your homegirl in California.
Ooh.
Back to politics. Kamala Harris.
Yeah, Kamala Harris.
Kamala Harris. I'm sorry.
Kamala Harris. That's right. U.S. Senator.
The girl.
Howard University.
Yeah.
Howard University alum. That's right.
There you go.
Yeah. Congratulations to Kamala Harris. And I guess while we're at it, we might as well pay congratulations. And I can't. My goodness. Alicia Reese. You remember Alicia Reese from Grambling?
Yeah,
the weekend baby. I forgot what she ran for though, but she won. Larry Weekly. We're throwing names out there now. We're starting to date ourselves. So, but anyway, we want to thank you all for taking the time out to listen to the podcast, the HBCU Sports Podcast. Again, if you get a chance, please go to Spreaker.com, do a search on HBCU Sports, follow us on Spreaker. And spread the word about us. Download us. Follow us on the social networks. We're on Twitter, HBCU Sports. It's at Real HBCU Sports. Very important. At Real HBCU Sports. You can follow yours truly, Ken Rashad, at Ken Rashad. And Jeffrey Duplessis, please give them that old crazy, complicated Twitter handle again.
JMO700. JAYMO, the number 700.
Okay.
That's easy, man. That's easy. It rolls off your lips.
Hey, we got 30 seconds. I got to say this one more time before we go off. I'm gonna end it with these 4 words. President-elect Donald Trump.
Donald John Trump.
Donald John Trump. God bless America.
Yeah, because we're gonna need some blessing now, brother.
All right, brother. Thank you all for listening to the HBCU Sports Podcast. We're out.